Hi guys, it's Amy and you have found Amy Loves Crochet. Thank you so much for your time. I always appreciate when you click on any of my videos. I feel a little bit disheveled today, and let's be honest, I never really have it all together, but the last couple of days, for those of you that might have seen it in the news, St. Louis has been hit again with some more bad weather, like tornadoes in the city, and the zoo is bad, and Soulard is bad, and neighborhoods are just destroyed, and we were without power for a couple of days. And it's one thing to go camping in your RV, and it's another thing to be in your RV outside your own house. It was kind of weird. We hadn't really done that before, and we had some generator issues. So there was one night we went without, power, no fans, no music, no nothing. It was very strange. So just kind of getting myself together this morning. If you saw the thumbnail, obviously you saw the thumbnail, you clicked on it. I did the drawing, and let's be honest, again, I couldn't stop with just 5, so I added a couple more in there. I just really appreciate you guys, and it was just making me so happy to wrap up these bundles and stick your names on them to the mail. So those will be going out tomorrow. Keep your eyes, if you entered for the drawing, keep your eyes peeled for the mail. And so I'll kind of go over the stuff that I worked on this week. I don't think that is anything really going to surprise you at all. Most of it has been work that I've done that I didn't get finished yet, and I just kind of put on the back burner. But before I do that, you guys are always asking, and I always forget to talk about what is on my dress form here. This is a beautiful shawl that I made with 2 strands of fingering weight held together, so I worked it like a DK. And now this morning when I went to look through my notebook to see what it was called and all the good stuffs, I couldn't find it. And I was flipping through and I could not find it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to tell them I can't find it in my notes. And I put the book down, and it opened up right to where it was. So I think it was meant to be. So this is called the Flora Shawl by Design Crochet. And I've done so many of, a couple of different designers that I love them all, but I get them all mixed up with each other. I get the names all mixed up with each other. So again, this one is called the the Flora Shawl. And the yarn that I held together was a yarn bee from Hobby Lobby that was called Flower Fusion. And then 316 is a yarn company, and their yarn was called Phthalo Blue, like from Bob Ross painting. He always did that Phthalo, P-H-A-L, whatever. And so it's a really great design that incorporates some rows of double crochet and then some mesh-like rows, and you just leave some stitches unworked, and that's what creates this step up. So it's really one of my I can go to it and I can know I'm working on something that's going to turn out very, very nice looking, and I didn't have to put a whole lot of thought into it. So if you are like me, like I kind of try to stick away from granny squares for the most part, but once in a while, something repetitive like this can look just enough different for you than doing granny squares. It's still double crochets, you're still moving along with double crochets, but so I thought this was really very pretty. This is one of the shawls that I do have posted on my Etsy page. I've done a really horrible job and a disservice to myself for not putting all of my items up there that I do have available for sale. So if you're interested in this one, please go check that out. I'll list that down below. So yeah, this is definitely a project that I know I would work on again. So, okay, so what I guess I'll show you first is a blanket that I had made this, if you guys remember, I made this for my grandson, and I think initially I only had 2 skeins or 2 cakes, and it didn't make this. I did a C2C, and I go halfway, and then I, add the other yarn when I run out of that one and start to decrease, so that I feel like I've got 2 equal amounts that should be, it should run me through the rest of the blanket, and it did not, and I left it unfinished kind of at the top, and it's still, when I went to buy new yarn, long story, then I spilled coffee on it, and so that yarn was sitting off to the side for a while. I still need to wash that, but I went ahead and worked with it. So first of all, I finished off my grandson's blanket. I put a border on it. Here's the C2C with a nice little ribbing The colors are very kind of muted. And I just did a back loop, front loop, the front back. And so I just did the front post, back post alternating so that it would give like this ribbing effect. The yarn that I used, I don't have any more because I worked it all down, is called, and this one's the one with the coffee on it, Cherub Aran Prints by Cascade Yarns. And this are the stats of the yarn. It's a worsted 4-weight. So again, at first I just had 2 skeins or cakes, and then I went back and bought more. So the body of the blanket is 2 cakes, and then a little bit more at the end, and then additional for the border. And I just did 2 rows. The first row of double crochets, and then the second row is the back loop, front loop, back post, front post, like I said. And then in the corner I did 3 double crochets. So that'll be for my grandson. And I love the colors so much. They go from this green to kind of a grayish blue to the purple. And so, you know, to me, it kind of can read anybody. But when I'm looking at a baby blanket, like, I kind of get so tired of just the blue or the pink. So I like to kind of look for different colors that might feel a little neutral, that can kind of go either way. And I think that this was a good one. The colorway, they don't have names. They just have color numbers. Boy, you can, I told you, I feel just disheveled still. So here's my colorway for this group that I was working on. So, and I used a 5mm hook for that. I've got these like little baskets that if I carry them around, I mean, we all have our crocheted project baskets or project bags or of one sort or another, but I have found these to be so helpful. I just got them at the Dollar Tree. I love them. Anyway, so I've got somebody at work. I've got a team member at work who's pregnant, and she's going to have a little boy, and I'm so excited for her. And so I decided to go ahead and work up the rest of that yarn for a blanket for her. And I went a little bit bigger on this one. And you can see the, you know, as I introduced the other color, or the, you know, other skeins, it kind of changes color a little bit differently. And so if you see this little taggy right here, so again, the story goes that we went back to a new, I don't know that I bought them at the same place. I don't think I did. I think I went to a new shop that is up in Florissant, maybe, Creative Corners, maybe. I always mess up their name. Bought new yarn, was driving home, spilled my coffee into the bag. And so I put this little, so I just sat here all sad about it for a while and decided I'd go ahead and start working it up. And was just going to feel for it, like how bad was it? And I know that I was going to give it a good wash, but as I was crocheting, I could feel at this particular part in the green that was kind of like on the outside of where I had spilled, at the outside of the cake that received kind of the spillage of my coffee. So it was, you know, none of it was like stuck together or anything like that. I was still able to crochet through it. So again, I'm going to go ahead and give it a good wash, but just kind of the same idea. I went a little bit bigger with a border on this one. I think I did 4 rows of, you know, the first one is a double crochet row, and then the next row is where you start your back loop only or front loop only. No, I keep saying that. The back post or the front post double crochets. And so when you alternate them like that, that gives you the ribbing. So then if you just stay the front post on the front post and the back post on the back post, it accentuates it as you continue to make a longer border. So I'm super happy about finishing this for her. And again, I'm going to give it a wash with a good focus on some of that green that I could tell was on the outside, and it felt a little crunchy maybe. So, so that was those 2. And then, whoop, and then I worked on this hat. And when I do a new hat pattern, I'm always a little bit hesitant, or how's it going to go? You know, me and my gauge. But this was a fun one that you work in a rectangle sort of. And at the end of the rectangle, you know, you do your row this way, and then you do another chain and crochet into the chain to make these cute little dealy bobs at the top. I don't know what you call them, little curlies little whatevers. And that's fun because I hate making a pom-pom. And so if you do too, this might be a great opportunity to put a little bedazzleness on the top there without having to do the pom-pom thing. So, you know, you're kind of concerned with how it's going to, how the colors might play out, but it was fine. So this was just back loop only in half double crochets all the way around. You know, when you flip it back over, it creates that rib. And then I just did a single crochet border just to finish it off. But I don't know, it's a little bit big for a baby, so maybe an older child might fit that. I was going to put it with a blanket, but I kind of am feeling weird and second guessing that, so I don't know if I will or not. Let me know down below. Yeah. So, and then this is all the yarn I had left from that. So I feel super good about using up the coffee yarn, and in the same, you know, in the same project, making something for my pregnant coworker. Love you, Rachel. Okay, I guess this will be the next thing that we talk about. And again, I'm just trying to work through what's sitting over here that's unfinished. I still have the little puppy dog that I made for my grandson. I just got to fix his eyes. Nobody's happy about his eyes, so I'll fix his eyes. But the yarn that we're going to talk about is Cotton Painterly by Karen. And I wish I had a band here, and I don't. But what I do have is a band for their Bernat Softie, and it's the same fiber. So I remember that. See, sometimes I got a little something pops up in here. Okay, so this is 60% cotton and 40% acrylic. Now this is a 3-weight, so maybe I am thinking that, but the Painterly Cakes is a 4-weight, but I put it together because I'm such a rebel, right? So of all of my Cotton Painterly cakes, I had 2 cakes in the blue color and 2 cakes, I think it was called Shimmering Pond, in the red color, and I think it was just called like Rosette. And they each had a little bit of yellow. And of all of that, this is all of my scraps that I have. Whoop! That's all the scraps that I have left from those 4 big cakes. So I'm happy about that. And so what I was working on was, you know, I get to the point where I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'll just make squares and then figure out how much I have, and then maybe make a shirt or maybe make a bag or I don't know what. So that's where this idea came from. And I keep dropping stuff. Hold on. Okay. So again, this is my 5mm hook. And so I just started making squares out of the remnants that I had left, you know, different balls of pinks and different, because there were different shades of pinks and different shades of yellows and different shades of blue, of course. And so I decided to put them all together and make a little bag. And so I you know, sit there and go back and forth in my brain on how I'm going to lay out the colors, because I then wanted, you know, I don't always do a wide side on my bag. So now that's kind of, and a wide bottom on my bag. So that was like the only yellow that I might have. So I kind of put it all together, and then I went to make the straps. And so these are just solid granny squares, if you will, where in the corner, instead of doing chains to, you know, make the corner, you do double crochets, and then you do a treble crochet in the corner. And that's what makes it a little bit longer to make, you know, to go up into that point. So I like that as far as like a market bag or whatever goes. It's not lined. I don't think you have to line it. I was deciding on whether or not it needed some sort of a bottom structure. Do I want, you know, when I go to make a purchase and the bottom of my bag just comes like this, and I have maybe something that needs a square bottom, I appreciate, I mean, that's where my brain was going with making a square bottom for this. So I don't know that it'll hold like that unless I put something in it, obviously, if you know, if you put stuff in your bag. But then it could be just kind of an oval bag, you know, like, I don't know, who says it has to stay in its square shape. So then it came time to making the straps and deciding. This whole conversation about my finishing projects today comes down to straps. So you know me, if you know me, you know that I like to do that 2 rows at the same time, whether it's a half double crochet or 2 double crochets at 2 rows of double crochet at the same time. I got tutorials on those. I'll link those down below. I tried to do that with this strap, and it's just too stretchy. I didn't like how stretchy that is, and I really wanted it to, that always seems to be my question point, is making straps on a bag and not making them, you know, to be too stretchy, not letting them give too much. So I just did 2 rows of half double crochets, and then I seamed them, you know, I sewed them in, and I was trying to be very careful to put, I didn't think about this until after the fact. When I was deciding on how to put the colors together for the bag itself, I didn't think about when I was attaching the strap that I would be, you know, that I would have this blue square here to be on the outside of the bag, but I'd be attaching a pink strap to it. And I didn't want the pink, the sewing to show through. So hopefully you only see it if you look really, really hard for it. And so I just sewed it in. I tried to go through places where you wouldn't see it, so only trying to use like the back of the stitches. And then when I did come through the front, I was trying to be very specific on where I put those. So you might, you know, if that's something that you're interested in trying, just play with it a little bit. You can figure out what looks good to you and what doesn't. So yeah, so there's a bag, and it's cute, and it's all crochet, and I'm super happy about that. And then the reverse crab stitch is how I mean the reverse single crochet. Let me hold that up. Can't do that like this. That reverse single crochet, or called the crab stitch, is the border here. And so literally you just do single crochets in the stitch back, you know, and you work backwards, and it does this great little border. It's nice to, you know, be a change. And so instead of seeing like a row of single crochets right here to connect the bag, you see that kind of twisty thing. So yeah, you know, I'm just out here to not reinvent the wheel or anything, but I like to play around and just figure out what's working for me, what works to my aesthetic. And if I don't think that looked good, then I rip it out. I frog it out, you know. Never be afraid to frog stuff out. I love it. Okay, so one of the other ideas for bags that I saw was, I cannot find the video. I don't know how, if I'll search for it again and try to link it below. But basically it was just a video of this woman who had bought these straps and off of Amazon, and they come in 3 different colors. It came in a package like this with all the 3 rounded together like this. So there's black and then 2 different colors of brown, and it's just some faux leather, you know. And she used a hole punch to punch a hole in the leather, and then sewed through that hole into the bag to attach it to the bag. Now I used exactly the one that she was using, but she was using worsted weight, and although this is a for worsted weight, the cotton of it feels different. And so what I was making here was, again, I had made up a whole bunch of squares of all the colors that were available. Here are some of the other colors that were available and how they went into a bag that has a little faux leather strap. So again, trying to decide whether I wanted to make it all random or try to make it stripe at all. Like I just had, you know, this one other of the mustard yellow to make as the bottom. So you can see here, I just punched the holes in it. And then I tried, this is the inside of where I sewed it in, and I used the same color, and you can't even tell. So whether you wanted this to be the outside of your bag, if you were using that same color to tie this on, I think that it would look great either way. I was just kind of playing with it and practicing different things. So those got sewn onto that bag. You can kind of see where I had it folded for a little bit. I had the squares folded before I decided to put them together. And me and my favorite back loop only seamless connection. I just absolutely love that. So this is one that might feel, you know, I did go through kind of, I don't know how to explain it, if you can see it here. So I went through the top of this row. You can't really see it. I didn't go through the single crochet row. I went through just the double crochet, and I did it at the holes of the rows so that it would feel the strongest. So it's not pulling on the stitch, but where the stitch has the rest of the support from this. I don't know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. So, you know, I'm trying to decide how heavy stuff might be and how it might pull on the bag. But I like looking at this bag. I don't know how useful it would be, again, with the weight of these. But I've got them on there really, really good. I mean, I'm tugging good. It's just the feel of this faux leather isn't fantastic. So I wonder if they have a thinner one. My second point is that for the next one I'm showing here, I want a smaller hole. So I just used a standard hole punch, you know, that you would use for like a paper size hole punch. But I think that I can find, I'm going to look, I don't know if I'm making stuff up right here or not, a smaller hole punch. I'm going to work with that a little bit. So if this is the lighter color of the brown and this is the darker color of the brown, so very versatile. I think that little package would be very versatile for somebody. But, okay, so here's the other one. Okay, let me back up. So, you have seen this one. These are all pickle minis from the, what was it, the Aberdeen Wool Company. So these were the jar of pickled minis, whatever. And so you've seen this. I finished this already. It'll fit like one cake of yarn. I saw a bunch of people like walking and knitting and thought that that would fit a ball of yarn just nice, or a cake of yarn or whatever. And or for a little girl, you know, little play time, whatever. Or if you want to go out to the clubs and just have your phone and your wallet in there. I mean, whatever. So that was the small one. You've already seen that one. This one, the bag itself was finished. I just didn't do the strap yet because I wasn't sure what I was going to do for the strap. And of all the pickles that I have, I kind of did away with all of the little teenies. This is, before I put it down, I used a 3.75 millimeter hook. And here is this finished bag. So this is, again, you saw the bag before, that, you know, just a different way to put the hexies together. This one folds over, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this was a good one if you only had a couple that you didn't know what to do with. And so my main thing was not knowing what color to use for the strap, because I had used up most of the yarn, you know, in sewing them together. So this pink and purple one was a whole nother ball, or a, you know, mini by itself, that I decided to go ahead and sew together. And I just do like 4 or 5 single crochets across. And then when I'm all done, I do a single crochet down around the side. And then here's one where I sewed it to the inside and used the whole of the corner to attach it to, so that I felt like it was as strong as it could be. So again, this one doesn't have a liner at all, but I don't think you're putting a watermelon in here, you know, so that was a nice little small size as well. And I have 3 left. You can see this one wasn't really going by the time all my neons went into this bag that I had. And so at that point, I didn't really want the yellow. I kind of looked at it a few times. I outlined the pink and purple strap with it, and it just didn't look good. So it is going to sit in the mix for whatever that will be. This one was just like a super like country blue and pink together, kind of that dusty rose and that country blue. I didn't really feel like it fit anywhere. And then this one, a couple of them I did make up into a square or a hexagon initially to see where it might go color wise. And this was another one that I just couldn't make fit anywhere. I really like the blue and the purple and the red like that, but that red just felt too bright for anything that I was trying to put it with. Like you can tell, these are like opposites, polar opposites. These were all like my muted colors, my kind of beiged out colors or whatever, like softer colors. And then this was like, pow. Okay, but the main one is still being worked on. Knock my camera over here. And so what I did with this one I'm still very unsure, uncompleted yet, because I think it's too big to be made up with a delicate fingering weight yarn. I can't remember if it's a 85-15 or a 80-20 blend of superwash merino and nylon. I love all the colors that went into it. And I think I do want to line this one because I think I want to attach the handles to the liner. Let me know what you would think. Would that make it stronger? I mean, I am so afraid of this tearing that, you know, I'm thinking I'm such a dummy. Why did I make bags out of fingering weight yarn? So yeah, so I think I do want to put a liner in this just to make the bag stronger to be able to attach to that. So I did cut strands of the darker leather, faux leather, but I'm not exactly sure how to attach them because it kind of doesn't make the same sense. So then what I did was I took all of the end pieces that I had left over from each of the squares and I made lengths out of them. And then, so this is one handle and this is the other handle. And there's 10 strands on each one. And I wanted to like braid it to attach to it, or maybe wrap this in the yarn. I am kind of all over the place with where I think I'm going to go with this, even though I already cut the leather or the faux leather, whatever. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do for handles for it. And I just love it so much. I don't know what to say. Like, why did I make it into I couldn't have made it into a shirt. I already decided that, but I really like the way that the bag turned out, and I hope that I can make the handles work out as well. So that brings us to our final bag that is going to stay unfinished. This was made up of worsted weight. Gosh, I don't remember. I think was it Impeccable? I think these were Impeccable by Loops and Threads. And the blue that I have is a different blue. I don't think that I don't have any more of this yarn, and the blue that I do have is very different enough to my eye that I don't want to make the straps out of the yarn. So I might do straps out of this, but then again, like my top is weird. I like the bag, but I've got, the way I constructed it, I've got two points on the front of the bag or the back, you know, and then only one point on the other side. So I don't know how that's going to end up with handles. If you have any ideas off the top of your head, let me know. I really like the way the bag looks, but it just needs handles of some sort. Or maybe there's another use for it that you can think of. Let me know. All right, guys, that's the portion of the things that I can share with you today on what I've been working on. I feel like the week has kind of been wonky, but when I look at my table, it isn't stacked as high with things to still finish. So that makes me happy, right? All right, I hope everybody's doing well. Have a wonderfully blessed day, and please do come back and see me again. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.